reposition non-performing or underperforming assets to increase liquidity, safety, and rates of return tax-free. In this episode, I'm going to give you some examples and stories of how to optimize assets and minimize taxes using max-funded IUL, my favorite financial instrument, bar none. So I'm Doug Andrew. I've been a financial strategist and a retirement planning specialist now for more than 48 years. I've been so blessed and honored in my lifetime to have authored 12 books thus far. Many have become national bestsellers. One, a New York Times, Wall Street Journal #1 bestseller in 2007. It was called Last Chance Millionaire. And in all of my books, I'm very passionate about helping people understand how money works and how to optimize assets, minimize taxes, and empower their authentic wealth so that they can achieve their long-term goals and not outlive their money for retirement or working capital for business or real estate management or college funding for their kids and grandkids, estate planning, charitable giving, all kinds of goals. And if you watch very many educational episodes on this three-dimensional wealth channel, which I would recommend you subscribe, it's free. And be sure and click the little bell there so you'll be notified every time I post a new video, which I do almost on a daily basis. But if you watch very many of these, you'll begin to understand my favorite financial vehicle by far to accumulate money, serious cash you don't want to jeopardize losing, totally tax-free, income tax-free, and then be able to access that money, including all the gain, income tax-free. And then at the end of the day, when you finally pass away, when you die, anything left behind blossoms, increases in value, and transfers income tax-free is a max-funded indexed universal life insurance contract. And if you structure it correctly and fund it properly, it qualifies to be called what I deem a laser fund. Laser is an acronym that stands for Liquid Assets Safely Earning Returns, okay? And at the end of this episode, if you'll stay with me, I'm going to gift you a copy of my most recent best-selling 300-page book called The Laser Fund. So stay with me here. So let me talk about how IUL works, Indexed Universal Life. When I would meet with thousands of clients throughout the years, they would come in after getting educated, and they would realize that where they had their money following the herd, so to speak, putting money in the company's 401k or in IRAs because they didn't know any better was maybe a good way, but a far cry from the best way to save. And it wasn't until they came and got educated. And of course, I have a little ditty that goes good, better, best. Never let it rest. Never let it rest till good gets better and better gets best. So many times I would say, well, an IRA or 401k may be a good way to go, but it's a far cry from the best way to go. Well, people say, well, what's the best way to go? What's a better way? Well, a better way would be a Roth IRA or 401k, because if you think that taxes in the future will likely be higher, which most people do because of irresponsible government spending and the printing of money, I can prove to you that a Roth IRA or 401k will outperform a traditional IRA or 401k, where you would outlive your money. You would lose, okay, and outlive your money with the same amount of money, because if you think taxes are going to be higher in the future, it would be better to have a Roth. And then I disclose, I've never owned an IRA or 401k, never will. That doesn't surprise very many people, but then I say, I've also never owned a Roth IRA or 401k, and I never will. And they go, really? I go, yeah, why would I? Roths only have two benefits, okay? They accumulate tax-free, and you can access the money tax-free. You fund them with after-tax dollars, okay? Now, a max-funded IUL policy has been around a lot longer than Roths. Roths were introduced in 1997. Max-funded IUL has been a sacred tax-free cash cow in the Internal Revenue Code, Sections 72E, 7702, and 101A, that allows you to accumulate money tax-free, access it tax-free like a Roth, but when you die, it blossoms and transfers income tax-free. Roths don't do that. And it's been doing that for over 108 years. Okay. And so it also has some additional benefits. I can put in huge lump sums if I structure a laser fund, a max funded IUL, to accommodate 200,000 or 300,000 a year. I can put that much in. You can't put that much in a Roth. If I put in only 30,000, I can make up the other 270,000 anytime I want. You can't do that with a Roth. If you don't use the room in a given year, you lose it. But if I put in 300,000 and I needed to go grab 4 days later, 200,000, let's say, I can do that out of a laser fund. You can't do that with a Roth. You have to wait 5 years or till you're 59 and a half. There's all these strings attached, okay? But Roths do not allow you to grow your money by using indexing, where you get to benefit when the market goes up, but not lose a dime during the market downturns or crashes, okay? Because most people have their money in the market and they lose. With indexing, your money is not at risk in the market. And then at the end of the day, as I mentioned, Roths don't blossom when you die. If I died tomorrow in an accident, every million I might have in a portfolio of laser funds would double to about 2 million and transfer tax-free to my wife, my kids, my grandkids, a church or a charity, whoever I want to leave it to. There's not a Roth around that will do that. And naturally people go, well, how much does that cost? Well, nothing's free, but it doesn't cost me anything. It's being paid for with a minuscule portion of money that would otherwise go out the window in unnecessary tax if I followed the herd and put money in like IRAs or 401ks or even Roths, okay? Now, let's get back to stories of how I would help these people. So they would come in after learning this and they'd say, I want one of those laser funds. Well, then I begin the process of analyzing the underperforming or non-performing assets. And if they didn't know, they would tell me all their assets, but many times they already figured out what they wanted to reposition. So let me give you 3 general categories that happen over and over and over again. People would come in and they go, oh my heavens, we have $100,000 sitting in a bank or a credit union for our emergency fund. This knocks the socks off of the bank or credit union, and it's been sitting there for years earning less than 1%. We could be earning 5, 6, 7, 8, 9% tax-free on our emergency funds, and we can access the money just as readily or more readily in the event of a major catastrophe in America by having it in an IUL policy instead of at the bank, where they can stall you for 6 months if they need to from giving you your money. Most people don't realize that. Yep, if I were you, I would only keep maybe 60, 90 days of income on hand at the bank. And they'd say, well, let's reposition 100,000 over here to the IUL policy, okay? And then I'd say, what other assets? And they say, well, we've been hanging on to this rental property, but it is like an albatross around our neck. We hate being a landlord. Fixing the toilets, evicting tenants, taking out the trash, and we're just tired of being landlords, but if we sell it, we're going to have to pay a capital gain. I go, well, I got news for you. It would probably be better to pay the capital gain tax today at the lower rates, because it looks like tax revenuers, as of the recording of this episode, Joe Biden has been very interested in getting rid of the step-up in basis on long-term capital gains and doubling the capital gain tax rates. So if that's where they're going, it would behoove you just to bite the bullet, pay the capital gain, and take the net after tax and put it into an IUL policy. And so many times people say, oh yeah, we're going to get probably a net of about $200,000 after tax out of this rental property. We didn't know what we were going to do with it. And we don't want to be a landlord again and jump from the frying pan into the fire. And I'd say, well, let me accommodate it into this IUL policy. And they go, I don't have to be a landlord anymore? Nope. And they were actually shocked when they saw that it would generate greater growth and net spendable income at the end of the day than the rental property. Okay. And so that would be another 200,000. And then they would go, Doug, we're now 60, 62. It's not going to be a 10% penalty if we access money out of our IRAs or 401ks, but the money's in the market. And when we heard you talk about, hey, the last place you want your money when you retire is in your tax-deferred IRAs or 401ks, and continuing to defer till you're 72 and then starting RMDs, required minimum distributions. Yeah, for most Americans, that's the worst advice I've ever heard. you're delaying the inevitable. You are procrastinating paying tax, and you're actually not saving tax. You are compounding it. And if you do the math, we have a software program that shows you the amount of tax you'll pay by deferring till you're 72 and then taking out RMDs, required minimum distributions, to avoid the 50% penalty if you don't take it out. A lot of people don't know there's a 50% penalty by the IRS on top of the tax if you don't start accessing money out of IRAs and 401ks. Yeah, they want that money out and taxed before you die so they can tax you again when you do die. And so this software shows people how much they're going to pay in tax by stringing it out to their life expectancy and their spouse's life expectancy. And then it passes down to their kids. And now those children have to get the money out and pay the tax within 10 years. They can't turn it into their own IRA or 401k forever. Okay. And so they realize, you know what? It'd be better to just bite the bullet, pay the tax in today's lower rates, reposition it into a laser fund. So that might be $200,000. So let's just use that simple example. We have $100,000 we're repositioning that's underperforming in a bank or credit union, earning less than 1%. We want to increase the liquidity, safety, and rate of return on that money. We're taking, let's say, a couple of $100,000 out of the sale of a rental property, so you don't have to be a landlord anymore, and we're going to put that into the IUL policy strategically. And then we also have a strategic rollout, maybe over a 5-year period, from those IRAs and 401ks, getting the taxes over and done with sooner than later, and reposition it into something that's going to be tax-free from now on. And oh, by the way, when you finally do die, it will blossom and reimburse you for the taxes you did pay by many-fold. Okay. And so they go, this is a no-brainer. So that would be a grand total of $500,000. So a properly trained professional will then structure a strategic plan to be able to accommodate that $500,000. It's called the guideline single premium, and calculate the minimum amount of insurance based upon IRS rules. These are acronyms. They're TEFRA and DEFRA based upon your age and gender and health. You're taking the least amount of insurance the IRS will let you get away with, and you're putting in $500,000. And then you want to put it in as fast as the IRS allows, okay? And so under TAMRA, the most we could put in would be about $100,000 a year for 5 years. And now we've complied with TAMRA, and now I have repositioned in 5 years, $500,000 of underperforming or non-performing assets to do what? Increase the liquidity, the ability to access my money. If it's in the apartment complex, I have to wait and sell it or refinance it. I can access money now really easy with a phone call if I need to. I'm increasing the liquidity, the safety dramatically, okay? The rate of return usually dramatically, and it's totally income tax free. And at the end of the day, it will blossom and transfer tax free when I die. It's a no-brainer. And so this is what I mean when people come in to optimize assets. They reposition underperforming or non-performing assets. And we've done this with people for $1 million, 10 million or more, where we are simply asking them, what assets do you want to increase the liquidity, the safety, and the rate of return and the tax benefits? And let's structure an IUL contract, a laser fund, to accommodate that transition so that you can accumulate money safer, better, smarter, and not outlive your money. And when they see the effects over 10, 20, 30 years, they realize it's double, triple, or greater what they would have had they kept their money where it was at before they met us. Does that make sense? So if you want to read stories about this and see actual examples, I want to gift you a copy of my most recent best-selling book that's been flying off of our warehouse shelves. It's called The Laser Fund. This will teach you how to diversify and create the foundation for a tax-free retirement, but also how to use a laser fund, which is a property structured maximum funded IUL policy, to be used for all kinds of goals, emergency funds, working capital for business, and on and on and on. And so here's how you can claim your free copy. Don't go to Amazon and shell out $20 or more. I will gift you this book. and it's 300 pages. 200 pages is this side, which has the charts and graphs. But if you're a right brain learner, you can turn it over to this side. And this is 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 actual client stories. If you want to read both, that's 300 pages, but this will become like your reference manual to optimize assets and minimize taxes. And as you do this, you'll be able to read and learn, but there's options when you go to laserfund.com. That's LASER fund.com, or click on the link below. You contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. I cover the rest of that. I pay for the book and fire it out. But you can also get audio and video if you want, and also check out some of the online educational webinars. And you can even request an appointment to see how these strategies can apply to you by talking to an IUL specialist. So be sure and check all of that out. But this is about you and your brighter future.